Johnny, it's a wild world we live in. We're going live pretty quickly here. I'm not even sure if my
Right.
goddamn headset's connected, buddy.
Can you hear me?
I
I think
got
we're
you, buddy.
good.
So, word has finally broke. We talked about it earlier tonight. You were surprised if this did not happen today. You were surprised, and
Right.
I was in agreement with you. Like, yeah, he's going to be a stubborn son of a bitch to the end. Speaking of Vincent Kennedy McMahon, but it just got announced that he is stepping away from all things within the WWE and TKO sports area.
So apparently the whole thing was, like I said, just before we came on the air, based on Pacific Coast time. Close of business on TKO's dime, Pacific Coast time. That's
And
when he shut things down.
he's gone, dude. Like
That's it. They had
that,
no other choice. There was no other outcome, no other viable outcome. They had to do this. They had to cut him loose. They had to. It was a black stain on the professional wrestling business and the business of TKO sports, even on the UFC. They had to
a
get rid of
legend
him.
or not, a legend or not. Like that's the
Alleged or
whole
not.
thing.
Too much conjecture in his behavior and whether it was all true or not. And I would have to wager that there was a lot of truth to it if he voluntarily stepped down.
I don't know that I can put that much into it. That there was a absolute definitive he did this moment, but
Mm-hmm.
it is not a good look for the company that
Not at
this
all.
keeps happening. And like we said earlier, how many more of these grotesque accusations are going to come out before you finally say, okay, man, you got to go. You cannot help us anymore. You're killing our business as an industry.
Right. Absolutely. And they had no other choice. He had no other choice. He could completely scuttle that entire company. I like to know what was said behind closed doors. I really would. Uh,
Well, here's what he released, just so you know. Out of
sure.
respect for the WWE Universe, the extraordinary TKO business and its board members and shareholders, partners, and constituents, and all the employees and superstars who helped make WWE into the global leader it is today, I have decided to resign from my executive chairman and the TKO board of directors effective immediately. That was the end of the statement.
Not very verbose, not a very, very Vince McMahon type deal, but it was quick, brief, to the point. He said what he needed to say, and he's going to move on from there. It's over. He's 78 years old. It's over. He's not a creative force anymore. He was good at negotiating business contracts, streaming deals. It's over.
Well, he was good at creative as well. Let's not get crazy. Like the 80s happened because of him.
Back in the day,
Yes,
Don,
yes.
back in the day he was. But he also had Pat Patterson. He also had Bruce Pritchard, a very, very young
Jim Ross.
Bruce Pritchard, Jim Ross, back in the day. I'm talking about back in the day of the Hulk Hogan era. He had
This is
Briscoe, Patterson, all those guys were all in effect back then. That's over with now.
The Rock said, get your candy ass out of here, jabroni. I have no doubt that I honest to God believe The Rock has got some pretty impressive power right now behind the scenes.
I have no doubt that The Rock may have gave him a phone call.
Hey, pal, it's you're almost 80 years old. It's time to go away.
It's time to go.
It's
time to go.
the
You know
biggest
what I
thing.
feel bad for, Don? I don't know
Go
what I
ahead.
feel bad for. I feel bad for his grandchildren.
I feel bad for his entire family. They're having to live through this.
Right. How would you
Through
like to
no
see Vince
fault of
McMahon's
their own.
grandchildren?
Through no fault of their own. They're going to be connected with this sexual scandal their entire life. Stephanie McMahon stepped away years ago, and part of me says she knew something was going on behind the scenes that was under the board that wasn't exactly what you would call, I don't know, morally correct. Like she saw the moral compass was not pointing in the right direction and said, I think I got to get the hell out of here while I can.
You're right. You're exactly right. And I just think about their grandchildren going to school, and then Guy comes by and says, "Hey, I heard about your granddad. You just look. Have you seen what he did? Look at my phone. Have you seen what he did? Can you imagine that?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But again, they're not.
Right.
Kids don't care about allegedly stuff. They're just going to say
Yeah,
he did it.
you're right.
This was the right decision, though. Can we both agree on that? Like, it doesn't matter, guilty, innocent, or somewhere in between. You keep getting this shit brought up over and over and over. And how many more of these issues are we going to hear about? Because
Right.
it all comes to a head.
Don, it's a sad day in the world of professional wrestling because it's almost as if the man died. It really is.
It
Because
really is.
it's over.
It really
And
is.
modern wrestling would not be the way it is today if not for Vince McMahon. You'd have 25 territories all throughout the United States, and
I don't think you would.
Canada.
I don't think you would. I
You
think
don't
you
think
would
so? They
have.
would think they would cannibalize each other.
I think they would. I really do. I feel
Okay.
like it would be a less than product if you've had anybody else behind the scenes other
Sure.
than Vincent Kennedy McMahon. If
Mhm.
you'd had Ted Turner running this shit show, you would have WCW what they were in 1991 leading the way with 400,000 people watching on his home network.
Right. Right. A very, very sad time. Sad time in professional wrestling. Not good at all.
He even said, emergency stream. Yeah, pal, when
Well,
you
yeah.
see something like this break across your fucking screen, you
Mhm.
immediately hit the oh shit button.
Right. And we're just sitting around, having a few drinks,
Enjoying, I was actually
having a
watching
couple of pizza
SmackDown
rolls.
against you and them goddamn pizza rolls. I was actually watching SmackDown against my better judgment, and the opening segment surprised me. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Eben he's just loaded me up now, and the women's tag titles just changed hands. Thank you for
Like
catching
we
me
talked
up.
about.
My God in heaven.
We talked about that.
Vanessa Loca says people deserve another chance at life. And he's got one, Vanessa. But the problem is, this isn't the first time at this table. This
Right.
is now multiple reports and multiple payouts. This isn't a one-off. This isn't a
Let's throw
one-off.
a few
This
names out
guy,
there, Don.
yeah. What's that?
Speculation and conjecture. Speculation and conjecture.
No, I get that. No, I get
Christy
that.
Hemme.
Like, I understand that.
Stacy Keebler.
But there are more than one. There's more than one woman stepping forward now and saying he paid me to have sex, and here's what happened, and it was
True. That's true. And it's not just a Winera talent. This woman she worked in Titan Towers. She had a sham job. She worked in Titan Towers. And I don't want to use the old joke, she worked under Vince directly. But
this feels
horrible.
like the end of the WWE and the beginning of TKO officially right now. To me,
Right.
as a wrestling fan.
Right. Right.
Even if Vincent Kennedy McMahon had no input on anything going on right now, this is the end, pal. This is all she wrote.
Well,
This is it.
Vince actually, he made himself, with all the people, the movers and shakers in TKO Sports in Endeavor, Ari Emanuel's company, he made himself non-essential because you've got guys who can negotiate TV contracts. They did it for UFC. You've got guys who negotiate contracts for talent. They're super agents, talent agents. You've got guys who are familiar with dealing with media companies for media rights. Vince McMahon was no super genius when it came to that. So he made himself non-essential personnel. He had a sham title at the head of that company. And he's out the door now.
He had to walk away, though, right? Like,
Had to walk away. They lost a lucrative Slim Jim deal for the Royal Rumble. They may pick up the Squared Circle Maniacs merchandising deal.
We are getting that going. If anybody would like to buy a shirt from us, let me know. DM me at Busted Move on Twitter. We are getting these going. But product placement, pal. It's damn, dude. Like, it had to happen, and I'm glad that it happened, and it should happen. And he should have no place in wrestling anymore. He should have no place in any kind of business anymore.
Well, I
It
wouldn't say
should
that,
be
Don.
this way.
I would buy a hot fudge sundae from Vince McMahon if he opened up a small ice cream shack on at the corner of a supermarket parking lot somewhere. I'd buy a hot fudge sundae from Vince. I'd buy a snowball, but I wouldn't go and frequent any sort of entertainment entity that he would put together. It's over. It's done. It's over.
It's over.
If he wasn't such
This,
a bastard, he could have a family and enjoy his money and his downtime with his grandchildren.
but he's a depraved goddamn lunatic.
He is. Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the problem, is that his depravity cannot be met.
He can't be.
Oh, God damn it, Larry.
He
Larry
can't
has
be.
got a serious question for you.
Would you buy a chocolate covered banana? I'd have to see where I have to see it being made first, Larry, and then I might buy it after that.
But in all
There better not
seriousness,
be
though,
any
this
corn
is
on that chocolate covered banana.
he made a company that he bought from his old man for $1 million, right? Like let's take a little minute to retrospect on what's happening here.
Are we going down memory lane with Vince McMahon?
Well, we're gonna do a little bit right now, right? Like, he bought
Right.
he took a loan out to pay his dad $1 million.
Yes, and
Right.
he paid back every dime of that.
He was upside down
He was.
on this loan.
He was.
He was going to lose his ass. And
Yes,
he
he was.
came up with the WrestleMania idea and said, well, shit, that works so well. Let's do it twice. And let's have it in all these different cities so I can make some more money. By the way, he paid his dad back that $1 million in that first year.
He did.
He made money on this company. Unlike
He
AEW, he made money in his wrestling company that he took national.
Now, in all, okay, I'll be the devil's advocate. In all fairness to AEW, at one point in time, Craig Goose 545, Jim Ross has entered the chat. Why not deal with women outside the company?
You son of a bitch! I almost spit that out.
Deal with women.
That's a good question, Greg Goose.
Because I'll tell you why. He lives in a wrestling bubble. His entire life revolves around professional wrestling and Titan sports.
You know what? Most people don't realize that. Do you realize people don't realize that? They don't realize that he literally has no fucking clue what happens outside of wrestling. He really doesn't. He could not tell you who won the Super Bowl last year. Could not tell you who has won Super Bowl in 3 years.
Pop culture entertainment. He has no clue about what the hot TV shows are, what the hot catchphrases are, and the cultural zeitgeist.
No idea about music.
No
not
idea.
A goddamn clue.
No idea. No clue.
All right, so we make fun of the neckbeards because they live in this wrestling bubble, right? Vince McMahon lives in that wrestling bubble. He doesn't step out of it ever.
He's a neckbeard with money?
He is. Exactly, Larry. He just wants a fucking dry turkey on rye. That's all he is. That's who he is. This is the same guy that sees sneezing as a weakness. He's not normal.
He thinks a burrito was a steak wrap.
Why are you eating the bread on top of that sandwich, pal? Just eat the goddamn meat.
Right. David Chase. Hey, I love your show, The Sopranos, by the way, sir. Triple H and others. Next, they all knew and said nothing. Rotten organization. This doesn't stop at Vince. Triple H covered for Vince for years and needs to resign before everything is unsealed.
So here's my question. How do you know this is happening?
You'd have to prove it.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes.
You're in the family. You're in the family. You know that Vince and Linda
are
not
separated.
living together. They're separated.
They've been separated for a while.
A long time, decades, as I know. But Don's not completely convinced of that. But they were gone, and Vince was dating the help, the talent, doing what he had to do. He was dating people like he was going through the secretarial pool at Titan Towers. I'm sure he was doing that too. Everybody was doing it. He was.
But here's the thing.
He was doing the things that the guys did back in the day, 50 years ago. But he took that depravity to a whole new level.
A whole new level.
Whole new level. He became a scat
enthusiast.
A scat enthusiast.
But here's the thing, though, right? We can both agree.
I heard someone call him a fecal philiac.
We can both agree, though. God damn you and them pizza rolls, bro. How many you got? Like 400?
Close, pal. Close.
Here's the thing, though. If Triple H did know about this, he's a sorry bastard as well, right? We both agree on this, right?
Oh, I digress. Hang on a second. I didn't make my point about Triple H. I was eating pizza rolls. Triple H knows. Triple H knows his living situation. He's living in a penthouse up in Connecticut.
He's got women coming over.
Women are coming over.
But he doesn't know
dating
who.
a couple of people who he may have been seeing a couple of people who he were employees. Yes. Open relationships. People knew that. No one batted an eye. Oh, Vince is with so and so. Vince is with Clarice. Vince is out with Blanche, the new girl. Vince is out with Electra, Terry, whoever. No one batted an eye.
It's none of our business, and it's none of their business. But if they knew, then they're son of a bitches as well, right? Like they're bastards.
If they knew that Laurinaitis and Vince were whoring out that paralegal, and that they were running trains on her and smearing her with feces and urinating and God only knows what else.
Yeah.
Who knows? I'll tell you one thing, pal. That scat enthusiast stuff is bad news.
You're a dick.
No, I'm just saying it's horrible. I mean, you could get bacterial infections from that.
I get it.
It's horrible. I'll never eat a pumpkin pie again after I went on that website.
Here we go. Rumors that Triple H and Nick were the ones that initially shot. Yes, and that's the whole thing. They did. Voted. I saw that. Triple H voted to not bring him back and said, no, this is not a good move for the company. I've heard that's also why Stephanie left the company.
DeJuan Harris just sent a DM in a thread that we have on Twitter in our group chat for the SCM.
One of our SCM brothers. What did he say?
He said, why didn't Vince just pay her the money? He owed her $2 million. The deal was for $3 million. He gave her $1 million up front.
He gave her $1 million, yes.
Signed the NDA. He had his way with her one last time as she's going out the door, which she consented to. You can't tell me that if you're a woman and you're being forced to get down on your knees and this guy's pulling his unit out, you can't punch that man.
Well, look, I'm not going to question. I hear it, but I'm not going to question
any of that. Why did he pay the $2 million? Why didn't he pay her the $2 million?
That's my question as well. If it was this bad and you agreed to $3 million, why are you shortchanging her $2 million?
Slipshod accounting, pal. Vince can't balance a checkbook.
Mainly because he's out of his goddamn mind. Because he's shitting on people. Literally. Allegedly. It's just, it feels like the end of my childhood right now. Right? That's what it feels like. This was the last staple of wrestling to me. To me personally, this was it.
I'll tell you one thing, pal. He's not going to be living longer after this. Because they'll have nothing to do. They'll have no focus.
He's one of those guys that if he doesn't have a job, I don't know that he's got a reason to keep going in life.
If he's smart, he should keep the hair dyed and the pencil-thin mustache. He should move to Tijuana and open up a taco truck. That's what he should do. He could be Mr. Vincenzo Sanchez.
And grow that mustache back.
Grow the mustache back. David Chase says, the Vince McMahon Brock Lesnar texts are damning. Yes, they are. The implication here is that Brock understood a perk of working for Vince is him being paid in part with acts of a sexual nature. Well, that's true, but it's also very nebulous.
Very much.
Very nebulous.
Like, this is what she's saying has happened.
This whole thing right now is he said, she said. If you look at it in brass tacks in black and white, it's he said, she said. It's got to be hashed out in a court of law with evidence and everything else. And he's got to be tried in a jury of his peers. Black Larry says he should grow the stash back and become an international man of mystery. Hang on a second.
Note
to self, please reblock Larry. Thank you.
Dan has an even better comment.
Now we see why Bottles is kicked out of the house for stealing pizza rolls. Yes, I have to. Yeah, I have to smuggle them out the door in my underwear. Is what I have to do now.
Jesus, dude.
Mrs. Bottles is in the next room talking to her girlfriends on the phone while I enjoy my Tostino's pizza rolls. Combination flavor, don't you know?
I really thought we might have a show tomorrow night based off of just the Royal Rumble, but my God, dude, this hit my phone like a goddamn hurricane,
Like a freight train. Like a freight train. I'm looking at the SmackDown show right now, and Scarlett just jumped on the back of Bobby Lashley and raked his eyes. Okay. Bobby Lashley's getting his clock cleaned by Karrion Kross and crew.
Here, wait. Yep, there it is. No fucks over here or here. I have none to give. Here's the real question, right?
What's that? Where do they go from now? From here? Where do they go from here? Business as usual.
That's not the question.
What is
not the question? Where does Vince McMahon end up in wrestling lore and history? Because you cannot deny the fact that he paid women to be quiet about their sexual acts. That cannot be denied. That happened. There's no way around this. He paid women for sex, and he paid them to shut the hell up about the sex that they had.
And in the entertainment industry, it happens every day.
I'm not saying it doesn't.
Now. It's happening right now. However, Vince got sloppy. He thought he was bulletproof, invisible. He'd never get caught. He could just deny it. Plausible deniability. Would I do that? Why would I do that? That's what happened to Vince. He got too cocky for his own good. And I firmly believe the man has some sort of dementia. He's old. I think he's got some sort of
he's depraved. He's goddamn depraved, dude.
Sure.
And Larry's hitting on it right now. There's two spectrums you got to look at this with, man. The first 60 years of Vince McMahon, you heard none of this shit. None of this shit was happening.
Nope.
The last 8 to 10 years is just fucking loony bin central, man. He's out of his mind. He is a sexually depraved lunatic.
Of course he is.
What the accusations are saying.
He's been that way. Oh. Don, I got news for you, Don. In the Attitude Era, when he was never made websites. He didn't have any back then. He's a lunatic back then. He was a lunatic when he was in that limo with Rita Marie Chatterton, the referee, the lady referee. He was a lunatic guy.
I still don't know that I believe that story just because of what I've heard about behind the scenes. Like that one doesn't really stick with me.
That was a tame story, Don. He grabbed her by the neck. He had it out.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, it was. He paid her to go away. He had it out. And he grabbed her by the back of the head and shoved her face down in there.
I have read all the stories about her, right? And this is why I've got conjecture about what she did, right? And what
you think she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, basically.
She said she was trying to get Hulk Hogan's pay scale back then. Yeah. That's why I've got a lot of questions about that whole thing. Even if you blame Vince's age, what's Brock's excuse? I don't know that Brock is actually implicated in any of this. She didn't name Brock in the lawsuit. Not once did his name appeared.
Former UFC champion who they were trying to re-sign in his contract. Who could that be? Ronda Rousey? I think not. She was there at the time. I think not. Cain Velasquez? They fired that guy. They weren't going to re-sign him. They fired him.
But they brought him back.
Velasquez?
Yeah.
They didn't bring him back. They let him go.
Okay, so I don't know.
Ken Shamrock?
There you go. Ken Shamrock.
Not Ken Shamrock.
And when you say UFC, are you talking about the brand or the actual fighting club? Because that could be Bobby Lashley as well if you're just talking about Ultimate Fighting.
Bobby Lashley was never in the UFC.
What I'm saying, though, listen to what I'm saying. UFC is a big encompassing area right now, right? Most people, when you talk about mixed martial arts, they call it UFC.
In 2019, or 2020, who was a former UFC champion, that had a contract with the WWE. Mr. T23, you just popped on. You just popped him.
Holy shit. Dan Severn's been real quiet.
Very quiet. Dan Severn for Blue Chew. I think it's good stuff. He could do a commercial for that. Look, I'm saying right now, it was Brock Lesnar. She's referring to Brock Lesnar.
It probably is, but it's
they didn't mention his name.
That's my point. They didn't say his name.
Look, Mr. T23, I'll address this to you too, because you brought this up. What's Brock's excuse? There are corners of society where people are swingers
and get down to swing.
They get down to swinging. They have no problem. They're significant others. I'm getting all these texts. Their significant others have no problem with them going out, exploring their sexual boundaries with other people, but make sure they come back home.
Yeah, you're mine and I'm yours at the end of the night.
Down here, I live close to the villages in Florida.
Oh, yeah, I'm in Florida. They got that shit flying off antennas all day, baby.
They have swinger parties, the old people do down here in the villages. They have key parties. You go to a party, 50, 60 people could be there. You put your car key, in a hat, and someone draws the key out. That they got that key. That's the person you have sex with that night.
Just so we're clear, Bottles.
Go ahead, pal.
You're talking from experience.
No, pal. I haven't had any roast beef while I've been down here in Florida, pal.
Jesus Christ.
No, I don't do that, pal. I'm loyal. I'm loyal to my wife. I'm faithful to my wife. Happily, well, married for. We've been together for a while.
Oh my God damn.
This is the third one, pal. This is the third one for me. I got to get this straight.
3 strikes and you're out.
3 strikes, I'm out. I'm done.
Dan just had a tweet of the year. Jesus.
What's that? Dan says, rumor has it. That's it. I'm done. What the fuck, Dan? What the fuck? We got Reblock Larry. We got Dan had Dan. We've got Dan. And we got the writer of The Sopranos, all here on the show.
What a great group we've got. We love you guys, man. You're the best.
Who's this other guy? What's this? Kevin Patrick? He's the one? And Jim Ross just came back to the chat. Grey Goose 545. Dan.
Look, I just want to say,
yes,
the era is over from my childhood. Everybody's gone now. They're
all
act
gone. Like this fucking guy died, Mike. Don. I just called you Mike. Don, you act like this fucking guy died. He's not
He's
dead.
dead to me. He's dead.
He's almost dead. He's almost dead.
Dead to me.
He's 78. I don't foresee him living longer with no purpose, nothing to do. That's a problem with a lot of people who retire, who are older, when you have nothing else to do.
They have no focus in life when this happens.
Right. And they're done. Me, I'm retired. I spend all my days killing my liver.
Your retirement is what I aspire to accomplish in my age.
Pal,
I'm 11 years away. I'm 11 years away.
The only thing I have to worry about is if I'm having bacon or sausage in the morning with my eggs.
That's a great discussion to have. In your overall overarching, because we'll have plenty of time to talk about this later.
Sure.
Vince McMahon and the wrestling business was the biggest titan we'll ever see, correct?
Well, no.
Okay, you tell me who had more impact.
Hang on a second. He was the biggest titan that we'll ever see in the wrestling business. But there are 2 lesser titans that we have to talk about also.
Who?
Ted Turner.
No, I'm not talking about them. He killed Ted Turner. He buried him.
He buried Ted Turner.
He put him out of business.
He did, but they were a viable alternative to the WWE. They beat him 83 weeks, pal. Bischoff and Turner beat them 83 weeks.
Okay, how long is that in the grand scheme of everything for the last 50 years, Bottles?
They were the only one.
Here we go.
They were the only one who gave him a good run. They took a run at it, pal.
Okay.
You can't discount that. Who are you going to mention? Scott D'Amore? Dixie Carter?
No, I'm not going to mention anybody.
Dixie
That's my
Carter?
point. Get the fuck out of here. Now you're insulting me.
We agree to disagree, Don.
Okay.
Vince is all elite that the IWC would break. Grey Goose, you would probably kick over the announce table while you're sitting there next to
God damn it, pal. I'm here to call the plays.
I got a bad foot, pal. I got a bad foot, pal. I'm going to limp down there.
The top rope.
Now I'm talking about Jim Ross. It's Grey Goose 545. It's Jim Ross.
It is. No, so here's the thing.
What?
WCW gave them the stiffest competition they ever had. WCW gave them the best competition they ever had for a year and a half. For a year and a half.
Right.
This is my point. In almost 50 years, the closest anyone has come to this company and touching their numbers was a year and a half.
You're right.
That's my point. And everybody hangs their fucking feather in that cap of 83 weeks, a year and a half, essentially.
Well,
the best any of you sons of bitches could do to touch this was a year and a half. So, back to my original point. Where is Vince McMahon in the pantheon of wrestling lore and history? He's a son of a bitch, allegedly, behind the scenes with women.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I cannot say he's raped this woman. I don't know. I wasn't there. He's clearly paid for sex. Clearly, this has happened.
Yes.
Men do it every day. This is the oldest profession in the history of the world, if you didn't know, was men paying for sex.
Are you yelling at the people online right now? The Twitter sphere?
I'm yelling at life right now.
You're yelling at life right now. He was an innovator. He was a prognosticator of the way
a visionary,
the business is going. Yes. Eamon said he was the goat, and now he's the lamb that got led to slaughter. He's done. Over and done with.
And God knows if you ever heard some of the stories with the wrestlers behind the scenes. I can't imagine how bad that was.
I can only imagine what they all know, but they're not going to talk.
No, hell no.
They're not going to talk. You might have a few that might come out with some crazy stories.
No, they're not going to say
half
shit,
made up.
That's what I'm saying. Anything that comes out now is a complete made up bunch of bullshit. Because you would have said it by now. And the fact that you didn't tells me one of two things. You're a coward or you're fabricating a bunch of fucking lies.
I think the Honky Tonk Man said he was at a party and they were all drunked up. And Vince did 5 rails of coke. He ate a chocolate ice cream cone through a Venetian blind.
What in the shit did you just say?
No, just saying. He's a revolutionary, a carnivore. Weekly Tube Show, a guy with a red penis.
Well, I mean, aren't they all? Look, he's leaving TKO. This is the best thing that can happen.
He's leaving WWE. He's leaving his company.
And he's never coming back. He cannot come back.
You don't know about that, pal.
No.
What if he's found not guilty?
Okay.
What if he's found not guilty in a court of law?
Do you want to go?
At 79 years old.
Do you want to go triple or nothing and bet a red rocket?
I'm not betting a red rocket or. Bubba,
bet me triple or nothing. Bet me triple or nothing. Do it.
I'm not betting nothing. I'm just saying, don't count the man out. Don't count Vince out.
Johnny,
he's like a bad case of jock itch that you think he got cured.
He's gone.
Gonna come back.
It's over. How fast will they put this on Dark Side of the Ring? It might be a special 3-hour episode.
What you have to watch out for is on Netflix, they did a documentary series on Vince McMahon, a multi-episode documentary series. They even interviewed Meltzer, and Meltzer trumpeted this last week. Can you imagine the addendum that they're going to put on that documentary?
Oh, my God.
Can you only imagine? And this is not produced by WWE or TKO. It's independently produced. Can you imagine
I can't.
what skeletons are going to fall out of that closet?
Thank you all for joining us on this emergency venture that we did tonight. Please like and subscribe.
Block Larry's got a great question. Does Vince still own the shares?
Yes, he does.
He's still a shareholder. No more than if he bought them, like online or whatever. He's still a shareholder. That won't change. He just
I
has
hope you all have a good night.
He's no saying anything.
You all have a good night. Royal Rumble tomorrow. SmackDown's impressed.
Please like and subscribe, guys. We appreciate.
Until next week, Gordon Soley saying so long from the Sunshine State.